Babe, I'm live. Huh? I don't know how many people here though. I can't see. Oh wait, there it is. Wait. I think it's on. Baby, you do your job. You do your job, I'll get you coffee.
What?
You do your job, I'll get you coffee.
Are you alive?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Are you live, really?
Yes,
Oh, golly. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Sorry I was late this morning. Mia started the live cast here without me, so. But hey, I didn't get much sleep last night, so I might be kind of slow today. I just couldn't sleep that well last night. But let's see. So the yeah, please. So the subject today is um, secure and unhappy, or insecure, meaning financially insecure and happy. And the reason I thought of that subject is I know people here who live in a very low budget. I mean, extremely low, and they seem very happy. And I've spoken to them and said, why don't you go back and work a few more years and save money? And there's like no way they're going back. They're all in their, I'd say late 40s, early 50s. So they could go back and work, but they're just not going to. They'd rather live on a very small budget and feel that they're happy rather than, um, go back and work and get some more security. But what are you all's feelings? For me personally, I gotta have security. I gotta have financial security. Without financial security, I just don't. I worry too much because, and to me, anything can happen. I could end up in the hospital. I could, you know, get disabled. A ton of things that can happen to you as a person, both here in the West, but in the West, you're typically covered by hospital care through insurance or through the government or something. And here, sometimes, or a lot of people are not. So, to me, at least, I gotta feel secure financially. So, I was wondering what you guys feel about that, and let's have a discussion. So, good morning, Mr. Ron. I'll start with Mr. Ron here. He's always first. Good morning, Mr. Ron. How are you? Uh, and then good morning, Baker, and good morning to everyone. And Jack says, it's a good question, but I'm hoping for secure and happy. Yeah, I mean, everybody is hoping for the best of both worlds, obviously, but many can't have the best of both worlds. So if that's the case, what would your choice be if you couldn't have secure and be happy at the same time? Tawata says, remote work in the Philippines as a digital nomad, best of both worlds, and then some with Western pay and cheap Philippines cost. Yeah, that is absolutely the best way to go. But for that to happen, you have to have a skill set in some particular area that is valuable. So some of it is hard. Like, for example, English teaching, that was a good gig in the beginning. I've only done it probably about 10 hours or less teaching. It wasn't for me, but um, from the people I've spoken to, it was much better before because there was very few English teachers and there was a lot of students. So you got paid much better and treated much better. But then the pandemic happened, right? So everybody was at home and everybody decided to log on and become an English teacher. So are you going to join us, babe?
I will join you later.
Mia says she's going to join us later. We were late today, so. Married and broke or single with cash? I think most guys would choose the latter. That's a good one, Moonlight. Let's see. Michael says, good morning, Paul. Hope you're doing good. Good morning to you all. I'm doing wonderful. And that's me saying I'm going to be 5 minutes late. uh, Girl in the upper right picture has the name Paul tattooed on her inner thighs. Maybe when she was younger and slimmer. Michael. Michael says hi to you, Mia. Come on, baby. Move on. God. She slept. We went to bed at 10 yesterday. I woke up at 2 in the morning. I couldn't sleep before probably 6. She slept all the night, all through, and she's still tired. So, oh boy, wait till you start working. Yeah, wait till you start working like 70 hours a week. Then it's Monster and Red Bull and coffee. Financial security is number one for me, says Secret Agent. Well, that's the case for very many. I mean, I'm the same. I'm the same way. I just can't imagine being over here on a, $600-700 budget and making it work. I just can't imagine that. I'd rather go back, work for a few more years, save more money, and then come back here. No, I'm not bragging. I'm complaining. Actually, the most I've gone without sleep is, well, I slept for like 30 minutes. The most I went without sleep was 96 hours. No, almost 100 hours. It was more than 100 hours, like 105 or something. Yeah. But then I started hallucinating. So, yeah. Girl in the upper right is a 4, thinks she's a 10. Girl in the bottom right is a 10 and thinks she's a 4. Well, I agree with that statement. Some beautiful women are very insecure. However, I don't think the girl in the upper right is a 4. I'd give her like a 2, maybe a 1. Hi, Paul and Mia from JSR. Hello, how are you? Love the thumbnail, says it all. Yeah, true. For me, secure and happy. Yeah, for me too. But that's not always possible for everyone. So Rob Kelly is the same. He needs both, same as me. I have lived with nomads in Tibet. This is from Tuatha. Far poorer even than anyone in the Philippines, but they look happier than most Westerners to me. As long as you have food, shelter, and other basic needs, the rest is optional. That's a really good statement. Happiness does come from the inside, as long as you need your basic needs. Food, water, shelter. But I think growing up in the West, maybe we've become so used to being secure that without that, we feel kind of empty, maybe. So, Mia disappeared again. She's making coffee. Extremely low or low budget. Dollar figure of what that is for those folks. Thank you for your answer. Yeah, I mean, $500-600. I mentioned it earlier. That's what they live on. And some of them do some English teaching, so they might earn 100-200 more. But, you're talking $500-800. And to me, that's an extremely low budget, especially when you only have maybe a couple of thousand in the bank. Or less. And because if something happens, like here in the Philippines, if something happens, you got to have money. You got to have money to go to the hospital. It's not free. It's not like if you lived in Europe, for example, or the US. In the US, and something happened, in the US, you still have to pay for it, but they will do everything they need to do, and then you have to pay on the backside. But in Europe, many countries, it's free or included in your taxes. So it's more secure over there than here, health-wise, at least. William D says, have you purchased health insurance there? No, I have not. I'm still self-insured, and that's something I need to do. You know what? I'm going to put it on my things to do. See, if I don't put it down on something, I'll just forget. So I'll add my task here. Health insurance. Okay, I've added that. So that's on my to-do list. Thanks for that, man. Hi, Paul. Do you plan to go back to US? Are you planning to stay longer in the Philippines? That's a good question, Gabriel. I am looking at my options. I would like to go work, in a perfect world, if I could, this would be what I'd like to do: work 4 to 6 months a year and live in the Philippines, 6 to 8 months.
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months, yes,
Oh,
a year, and then then live in the Philippines 6 to 8 months. So I'm looking at some options there, and everything's still closed and all that. So I should probably make a decision by
next month.
no towards the end of this year. So that's when I'll make a steady decision. But I'm gonna live life like I'm gonna continue to live here forever, because I can't go and not kind of decide what to do, and because then I don't buy stuff that I should have. I don't enjoy life the way I should. So I'm gonna live here. Like I've decided, I'm gonna buy the NMAX. So I'm getting rid of the Click and the Ninja and just having an NMAX, just to simplify my life and to make it safer too. Michael says, for me, it's the upper management coaching and training, so I can do it from anywhere. My clients are all over Canada, so no worries in my case. That is fantastic. If you can do that from the Philippines or from Thailand or Malaysia or wherever you prefer to live, that's the way to go. I mean, working online is a really nice way, but for me, there's a big minus, is that you don't have the direct interaction with people, and that to me is kind of important when I work, at least. Secure needs defining. 2K per month is good, maybe for the long haul. 1,500 to 2,000 to me is a good income, and about 25 to 50K in savings. To me, that would be secure here in the Philippines, at least. Now, of course, you'd have to have income that kept up with inflation, because $1,500 from 10 years from now isn't going to be worth $1,500 in today's value. When the pandemic is over, I'll go there for a month and work remotely in my current job. Yeah, that's a good thing. Try it out for a month and see how it is, and if it's okay, then go back. And then, yeah, that's a good idea. That's what I would do too.
I showed it already.
Oh, you want to read some?
No.
So I can have some coffee.
Okay. From Tom, I think expats are more financially secure living in the Philippines because it's cheaper with their monthly social security. They have the latest today too. They just need a nest egg.
Well, it's cheaper here, but most people don't have an income when they get here, so there's that. So I think you have to have some type of income if you're going to retire here, yeah, or a big savings, one of the two. JSR says, Paul, if you don't mind, I'm curious. I would like to know why you got divorced with your ex-Filipina in the US. Shall I say it? She basically walked out on the marriage. So
It's her fault.
it's not a fault thing. I think she's not a bad girl. I just think she thought the grass was going to be greener on the other side. She tried to come back, but I said no. It's just, I don't know. I've noticed this, and I did discuss this in one of my videos. When people go to the US, I don't think it's bad intention, like for many Filipino side. I don't think they have this plan. Some do. Don't get me wrong. Some really do. And after 2 years and they get the green card, they're gone. Those are the ones that plan it out. But many, I think, go there with the thought they're going to stay with their husband, even though there's a 20-year difference or 25-year difference. But then they get there and there's all this pressure from the US society and females, feminists. You can do so much better. Really, you want to stay with him? Hey, if you divorce him, you get half his stuff and all that type of pressure that's put onto them. And they slowly start changing. So, but I discussed that in my video. So you gotta, for me, she walked out on the marriage. And what I really think ended it for us was when, and this is why I said what I said on my video, she had a friend who was divorced, newly divorced. I don't remember if she was divorced or going through a divorce, one of the two. And she didn't have a place to live. She was basically homeless, and she asked my ex asked me if she could live with us, and I said, stupidly, I said yes. So that was the beginning of the end of the marriage. So yeah, I learned a lot from that. So whatever you do, if you're take a girl to the West, make sure they don't uh,
Have a friend.
have a friend who's divorced. But hey, guys, I'm just gonna go warm up my coffee and be right back, and Mia will continue reading and answering. I don't know why I put this on. I don't need to, but it's like
He like hearing your voice, innit?
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what's the name of this guy. It's in Arabic or whatever. Says hi from Mark BB. He says I'm financially secure in the U.S. or Philippines, but in a miserable relationship with a girlfriend who won't leave here in the States. Never had a girlfriend who wouldn't leave when both of us are unhappy.
Won't leave. Why don't you throw her out? What does that mean?
Just throw.
Throw her out. She's not happy, or move yourself. What kind of lame excuse is that?
If you have a 10 million pesos, how will you use it?
I think that's for you.
No, I don't think it's for me. It's for you.
No, it's for you. I already have 10 million pesos.
You have 10 million peso? I don't know.
It's
Babe.
for you, baby. If you have 10 million pesos, what you do with it?
Save, secure my family, and send some kids to school, I guess.
Buy a house.
Yeah, secure them.
Buy a house for your family.
Yeah, that means like buying a house is like securing them.
Okay. Wait. I just want to answer that question.
Up.
Hey, Mark. Sorry, I missed your question, but hey, if like if you're living with a girlfriend, you're not happy. Why can't you just leave her? I mean, if she's in your house, you can ask her to leave, or if you're in her house, you can just leave it. So I don't quite understand why you can't leave. Good morning, Paul and Mia from Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, Florida. Paul, what do you mean by financially secure in your own definition? Well, my own definition of financially secure is here in the Philippines. That is $1,500 to $2,000 a month plus 25 to 50,000 in savings. So that's money wise, but like materialistic wise, that you can have a nice condo or house. You can buy the food that you want. You can go to the coffee shops when you want. You can go to the restaurants when you want without worrying about the money. You can order what you want at the restaurants. To me, that's financially secure. Rick says, I think the biggest part of me will be just being away from Western women. Yeah, I completely agree on that one. Here, you can read some.
Do you plan on buying a house or a condo there? Do you have a plan?
Absolutely not. I will never buy anything in the Philippines as long as the laws are the way the laws are. If they change, I'll reconsider at that point, but I would not invest anything in the Philippines. Now, condo, that's a maybe, but still I'd be very hesitant to buy condos here too. The rent is so cheap. It's more financially, it makes more sense to put the money in the stock markets and you'll make more money that way than buying something and saving on rent. So yeah, I would want at least USD 3K to live here in the Philippines. That's a lot. You don't need that. I mean, on a month that I use a lot, I use maybe 110,000 pesos, and then I've used a lot of money. I've been doing a lot of stuff, so
Being minimalist, yeah.
3,000 pesos. You don't need that here. I mean, $3,000. That's 150,000 pesos. Yeah. Dennis, moving to the Philippines on a shoestring budget, sitting in a 2-room bungalow in the middle of nowhere and having sex 3 times a day may not be sustainable happiness for you or your partner. Be secure. I don't know. That sounds like a nice plan to me. um, I mean, a two-room bungalow for me, that's a nice house. I don't need anything bigger personally. I mean, maybe some people do, but I mean, in the US, I had a 3,000 square foot home, which is approximately what 290 square meters, a third of an acre. It just when I look back, I think why, why did I have all that? Why did I have all the stuff that I had? Was it really to make me happy, or is it just part of living there, part of society? And I just think it's a waste. Matthew, the separated women are plentiful, grateful, and low hanging fruit. I take it neither you or Mia are crazy about them, but most that date them have no problem. True or false? So when you say separated, you mean being married and are now not living with their husbands? Because here, no divorce, so and it's very hard to get an annulment. So I don't know anybody who's dating a married woman, and if they are, that's a stupid route to go. I'm sorry, and stupid is a weak word in this context because you can get blackmailed, you can go to jail. There's a lot of bad stuff that can happen. So do not date a woman who's been married and has not gotten through the annulment. This would be my advice, and that way you secure yourself. Carl says, hello, watching from Kenya, Africa. First time in your live stream. I used to watch your videos. You and your wife. I am not I'm not married.
Never will.
That's why I like this, because I don't know if I'm loud or low or something. That's why I'll put this in one
Okay.
ear at least, so I can hear
There.
Primitive hunter-gatherers have a natural healthy diet and only need to work around 10 hours a week to subsist. The rest of the time is social. Tribe time equals happy. Yeah, that's true. The less you work, to a certain extent, you don't want to be working 70, 80 hours a week, but at the same time, you do want to work. At least I do. So, a combination of social life and work is good. In the US, it tends to fall to too much work and too little social life. Here, it tends to fall to too much social life and too
Less
little
work.
less work. So
Yeah.
maybe a happy median would be good. I would rather wait. I would rather wait. I would rather wait, take 3 or 4 years more to move to the Philippines, but be very secure, 3 to 4,000 Canadian dollars before moving to the Philippines. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I didn't have enough to live. That's a really good point, because, like, technically, I feel I've got enough money, but I still always worry because I don't have income. I have just savings. So I always worry about the stock market, about my REITs. I always worry about, where's, what if something happens? And so there's always this worry. I think people who have a defined pension are sleep much better at night than people who have savings, because savings can go really well. Your stock can go really well, it can go up, 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 and you can do really well, but it can also crash. So you worry about that. So yeah, working a few more years for me would be the thing I would do if I didn't feel that I've had enough. But 3 to 4,000 Canadian, that's a bit much, I think. To me, if I had like 1,500, I'd probably work it up to about 2,500 a month just to be on the secure side. More than that is unnecessary, really. Gary says, Paul, day-to-day life, how much do you feel someone truly needs to be happy in the Philippines, not counting companionship? Feel someone truly needs to be happy? What does he mean by that?
I don't know.
Well, I feel I always need to be happy. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by that question, Gary. I feel happy here in the Philippines. I feel happier here than I was in the West. But there's some things I miss about West. One of them is working, actually. So go figure. But I'm not sure. If you could clarify that question, Gary, I'll get back to it. I will work until age 55 so I can get my 401k without 10% penalty. Should be inflation protected, 2,500 per month, waiting patiently until 2025. That's a good plan there. Yeah, you don't want to touch your 401k really till you get to, what is it, 60, 59 now? I think you can touch it. When they move to the US, they change. They want many things.
They become materialistic in it
It's not just materialistic. Well, just materialistic would be one thing, but it's just their character changes. They become
because of
more
the social, like I
because of the
guess.
social pressures. You know, you become. It's just like me. I notice I've become more Filipino than when I first came here. I'll do stuff that, even the way I talk, sometimes I'll do Filipino phrases without even realizing it, right? And it just you become more like the society you're in. But the older you are, the less that is gonna happen, I guess. And it depends on the character of the person too, you know. Why do Filipino people go along with COVID,
COVID.
Chinese propaganda?
No COVID here.
No COVID talk, guys. Let's skip over that. Hello from Frisco,
Frisco.
Texas. That's where I had my house before, in Frisco, Texas. Yeah. So, do you miss anything in Texas? Oh, yeah, I miss the roads. The wide, nice roads. I miss uh, like when you go, for example, to Walmart or Target or any of these shops. The aisles are so wide. It's like place for four people to go past each other, while here you have to squeeze past each other some places. And just a variety of things you can buy in the store. Like you go and there's like 10 different peanut butter brands. um, so I do miss a lot from Texas, but all in all, I am happier here. But that's why I say, if I could get a month, I could get a job where I could work 4 to 6 months and then be here 6 to 8 months. That would be, to me, would be the perfect combination. So I'll see if I can do it. I've got some ideas about, but it won't involve engineering. But I have some ideas of what to do. Um, DP Coop says Filipinas, including my wife from Cebu, are really shocked how isolating it can be in the US. My wife got lucky because I'm in California, so she has many Filipino friends. This keeps her sane. Well, hopefully her Filipino friends are not divorced. Yeah, I mean, I saw this video when I lived in the US, and there was this guy who had lived in the Philippines just short, I think 6 months, and he came back to the US and he went outside his neighborhood and he said, "Look at this." He said, and I think it was in California too. And he said, "There's no one here. It's like zombie town. There's absolutely no one here." And then he saw further down, there was one guy cutting the grass. And he said, if this had been the Philippines, there'd be so many people walking here, sitting outside, talking to each other. Here, there's no one. And it does feel that way in the US. It feels kind of lonely because you barely know your neighbors. Michael Crosby says, my ex-Filipina met a divorced Filipina in the USA. They became best friends. Her friends traveled a lot with rich men all over the world. My ex would always talk about her experiences, beginning of the end. Yeah, kind of like me, man. We have the same story, buddy. So that's why I say, you got to really define the if you're going to bring a girl to the West, which, I think can be a bad idea, but you got to really define the relationship, define what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And if she's not willing to do that, then just, how it's going to end. So why bother? Now, somebody said in a comment that's very controlling. I don't think it's controlling to define what a relationship, if both people agree to it. I mean, girls will define certain things that they think should happen or not happen. So why shouldn't guys? And if you can't come to an agreement, don't stay together. That's how I look at it. Put cash in Zil stake on Mono Team or Zil Swap. I don't know what that is. Looking for Vietnam, Singapore, Philippines, or Thailand as a base. I think Philippines is good. I've also thought about Malaysia. because just the quality of living there is much better. Healthcare is much better. That'd be a nice base too. But for now, I'm staying in the Philippines. But I think you need to live in the advantage of. Oh, CR. Okay. The advantage of Malaysia, Philippines is obviously that they speak English, while Thailand and Vietnam they don't. So that's, to me, that's a big advantage. Unless you're really good with languages and wanting to learn a new language, it's harder there. But today, with their cell phone, they have this automatic translate where you talk and then it translates to their language, and then they talk and translates it back to your language. So you could do that. But imagine being on a date with a girl doing that forward and backwards. I don't know if that would work or not. So the Philippines has a big advantage because they speak English here. Hello, Paul and Mia from Chicago. From Steve, what's the status of the current lockdown in Cebu City? We have a large family up past tops. Just curious if you know the status of checkpoints, etc. It started yesterday because today is the second. I have a friend who was out and driving. He didn't see any checkpoints. All the restaurants are still open. The coffee shops are open. So to be honest, I haven't seen much change. Now, I've heard of some checkpoints like going into Cebu, but it's not really a big deal. What the big deal seems to be is like nobody out after 10 p.m. and the liquor ban. So, but I hardly ever drink, so it doesn't make a difference to me. But it doesn't seem to be a big thing. Now, the reason they did the lockdown is because all the hospitals are full and people are actually in the ambulances waiting. So, yeah. Let's see. Okay, I mean your girlfriend. Yeah, she's my girlfriend, not wife. That's okay, Carl. Money can't buy happiness, but it provides the path, opportunity to find it. Well said, Dennis. That's a true. Money, I've always heard money doesn't provide happiness, which is true, but money makes it easier to be happy. So that's, to me, it's just happiness really does come from the inside. You see it here all the time with people that are poor, and they are happy. They're not faking it. They are happy, but the difference is they have grown up poor all their life, so they're used to that lifestyle. For a Westerner that's had the security and money and everything and come over here and live a poor lifestyle, I think it's obviously much harder. Sunrise says, Paul, how do you feel about men who are always simping? I feel kind of sad for them because I don't think they understand what they're doing. I don't think they understand the negativity that it brings to themselves. And I don't think they understand that it doesn't create attraction, And I think it's something to do with the way they grow up. I've seen it typically with guys who have had an overbearing mother, a single mom, and overbearing. So I think that's where it comes from. So, yeah. Secret agent. As a retired financial planner in Canada, I know just what I'm doing, but yet I still worry. No defined pension, as you are just mentioning. I keep at least 1 year's expense in Canada. Yeah. Yeah. So even if you have enough money to live for the next 30 years, theoretically, you still worry because you don't have a defined pension. But I mean, I do have a defined pension when I get to 62, but until then, I'll just use off my savings. Yeah, I understood that. Thanks, Secret Agent. Wong Hong Law says, I'd rather be rich and unhappy than poor and unhappy. So what you're saying is you're an unhappy guy then? But that's true. I mean, everybody would rather be rich and happy or rich and unhappy. If you have the choice, if you're going to be unhappy anyway, might as well do it while you're rich, right? Hey guys, I'm going to skip any COVID comments. It's just a waste of discussion. I'm not here to discuss COVID. Plus expense. Secret agent says plus expense house as ultimate backup if I have to run out of cash, say at 85 or 90. Yeah, I guess you mean having a house to rent out and stuff. Yeah. But if you do it right and you put the money, I've got these retirement calculators, and they always tell me, when I die, I'll still have money left over. I put my death at 95. Hopefully it's that late, not earlier. So, I mean, there is ways of securing yourself. And then, of course, you have Social Security, you get a certain amount of money and so on. So I think most people will be okay. I think in general, and this includes myself, so I'm including myself here, I think most people worry too much and things tend to work out one way or the other. TC says, how much savings is secure for you? $500,000 USD or 1 million or 2 million? That depends on your age. And it's very hard to say when it comes to savings, because that's the problem with savings. That's a problem with not the defined pension, is you don't know if, let's say, I don't know how old you are, TC. Let's say you're 50 and you retire today. You don't know. You could die at 55. You could die at 60. You could die at 105, right? So how much is enough? But that's why a defined pension is very important, like Social Security or other type of defined pensions. So for me, I'm getting a defined pension when I'm 62, and I might be getting another when I am 67. So, that makes me kind of relax. But I would say if you don't have a defined pension, you got to have over 1 million, especially if you're in your 50s. I'm shooting for $2,000 a month in dividends. 225,000 investors to get those dividends. 15K emergency fund and 10K in. We're having a baby fund. 2K in dividends from 225. That's like 8 or 9%. That's pretty high in today's market. Tell me where you're getting that. Send me an email, because I'd be interested in some investments if they're secure. 2,000 a month would be plenty. Yes, here, yes, as long as it's can be inflation adjusted. Like Social Security is inflation adjusted. If you have money in the stock market, it's kind of inflation adjusted, because the companies get worth more as long as the dollar goes down. We've seen that when they print a lot of money, the stock goes up. So, yeah, 2,000 a month to me is enough. I mean, if I had a defined pension from now till I die of 2,000 plus my savings, I wouldn't even worry. But yeah. Nomad says, I would check out Celsius Network. You can purchase the USDC digital coin, which has 1-to-1 value with the US dollar. Stake that on their network like a savings account, and they pay 10% APR. 10%? Yeah, well, I don't know if the Celsius Network, are you saying that's backed by the US government? Because I can't imagine it is, because bonds are giving what, 2-3% now. So I'd be careful with something like that. If they're paying too much, and I've seen this in stock as well, when they're paying too much money, you have to ask yourself, where's that money coming from? How are they making that money? They have to have, are they borrowing money to pay you dividends? For example, some companies do that. So you got to be careful. You got to look at the actual books and see, is the dividend below a certain percentage? Are they also reinvesting in the company? And if you're buying a digital coin and they're paying 10%, where are they investing that money? I'd be careful with that. 96-ounce challenge in Texas. Yeah. I never tried that. And I never will, man. Die of a heart attack while trying. What he's talking about here is a steak. They have this big old steak that you have to eat within, I can't remember how much time, and you get it for free. I assume you're talking about that, right? Expat 101. Do you feel Philippines is becoming a bit tyrannical? At what point would you consider exit? I know what you mean by that question. I think the Philippines and other places in the world with the COVID felt at least it felt more tyrannical. I don't know if it really was. It just felt that way. As people who watch my channel know, I actually got arrested for walking, exercising during the corona thing, because we were just supposed to stay at home and I was trying to stay healthy. So I was walking and I got arrested for that and put into one of these pens, like it used to be a tennis court. So it did feel a bit more tyrannical back then, but things have gotten better. But I also noticed that the mood of the Filipino people and the mood of the guards and everything seemed to change to the worse. And that's very understandable with people losing their jobs and not having money and worrying about how to pay for food and all that. So it became a lot worse. So I really, really hope things open up sooner rather than later, because the Filipino people are struggling. But with this new, I don't want to talk about COVID, but with the new Delta variant, some negatives have happened. They've started lockdowns again in some places, but some positives have happened is that the amount of people getting vaccinated has increased dramatically. I think it was 3-4 days ago, they got to 660,000 shots per day, and that's increasing. So, and they're getting more and more shots from other countries. So things seem to be getting there, slowly but surely, like everything in the Philippines. Stop it, babe. 401k is a penalty free at 55 from your current job, 59.5 from if you quit your job before 55. Yeah, so for me, it'll be 59. So I remembered 59 correctly. Thanks for that. Mia is coming, so she'll... Paul, your favorite question, when will the Philippines open up? I used to say third or fourth quarter, and then the Delta variant happened. And who knows, maybe there's another variant that happens and the vaccines don't work against them or something. So, if it hadn't been for the Delta variant, I would have stuck to the third and fourth quarter. But now I don't know how they react. But a friend of mine actually had a good argument for them opening sooner rather than later. And he said, well, the Delta variant is already here. So keeping it closed doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, it's already here. So what's the point of keeping it closed? He's got a point, but things don't always work with logic. So,
especially here in the Philippines.
You said that, not me. Wait, let me so I get you more into
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, you can read that one. I gotta have some coffee.
From Mark, I guess I could kick that girlfriend out, but somehow I can't find the balls. I've known her since I was 10 years old.
What?
Knowing her so long as a psychological factor for me. Been with her 8 years, maybe soon.
Yeah, that is actually true. It's easy for me and anybody to sit here and say, just kick her out, do this and that. But you have that, if you've known her since 10 years old, you know her family, she knows your family. And so also, I don't know what her financial situation is, but you worry about that person, right? Because we all care about people, right? I mean, I know I care about Mia, and if things were to end, I'd still worry about her. I'd worry about if she's going to school, does she have enough money for school, how's she doing, and all that. I think most people do, especially if you've had a good relationship and you've known that person for a long time. So I see your point there. It's not that easy. Yeah, that's good. Well said, Mark. I'm shooting for 2,000 a month in dividend. I read that already. Yeah. Are those red pill filters in Mia's hair? Mia's actually reading the Unplugged Alpha, is it? Yeah, she's reading the Unplugged Alpha by Richard Cooper. I don't know if I like that or not, because then,
I'm just trying to learn
she'll know all
your
my tricks and
language.
tips.
Wanna
JSR
speak?
says, have a nice day, Paul and Mia. Take care, God bless. Paul's Asian. You have a UK accent. Are you from USA? I'm kind of a mixed mutt. I was born in England, so I'm British by birth. I've lived in England for 5 years, but I've lived in the US for 20 plus years and some other countries as well. So I'm kind of a mixed mutt. Man, Paul, your story about your ex-wife is pretty much the exact same as mine, says Scott. My ex-Filipino walked out and wanted to come back later too. Yeah. If you ever hear Scott, we need to have a coffee and talk, man. That's I think it happens to a lot of people. They think the grass is greener on the other side. They watch the TV shows, they listen to their friend, and then they go out there and they see how many assholes there really are, and they realize they want to come back. But at that point, it's kind of too late. So
It's too late.
to say. Okay. Hello, Paul and Mia. Do you want to get married and have a child someday? Next. I'll let you answer that, babe, because I need to warm up my coffee.
Okay. It's actually a friend of mine. Um, Someday, yeah. Thinking of like maybe I am secure and enough to feed my own kid. Then yeah, I would love to have a kid someday. And babe, I don't know. We'll leave it there, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah.
Answer the question. Do you want to get married one day?
Yeah, I said someday if I'm secure. Someday.
How about me? Do I want to get married one day?
No, you don't want to get married. But who knows? Who knows? Things change. From Michael, the problem is a young woman. It's easy to keep in the Philippines and have a relationship, but when she comes to the US, she sees opportunities he never dreamed of. She becomes the exotic beauty to all. I love what can you say about this?
I'd say it's true. The younger you are, the more opportunities you have, and the more temptation there is, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. It's true. Sorry, guys. I like my coffee hot, and every time it gets like warm, I need to heat it up. So I put it in my thermos, so that way I don't have to keep walking off. But yeah, what you say is true, Michael. The younger they are, the more temptation.
Oh.
And also, there's the other thing. It's like, you guys know this. The older we get, the more set we get in our ways. The more, if you're religious, you're kind of set in your religion. You're kind of set in your thoughts and all that. Most people. And I think the older you get, the more set you are in your values. So maybe your value. I mean, I knew this girl in the U.S. Philam couple. She was a nurse. She was in her late 20s, pretty girl, with this guy, and he was in his 70s. And there's so many guys who put the moves on her, and she just refused them. And I know this. And she said, I can't do anything before my husband dies, because that was her religion. I mean, she was so set in that, even though she was so tempted, she refused to fall for that. So it really depends on the girl, depends on their age, and
It depends also on the mindset of a girl. Like
yeah, but it's also, remember, you have a mindset and you have a code you live by.
yeah.
But the younger you are, the more flexible that code is, because it's not like set in cement. The older you get, the more set it is in cement. So it's like, the younger people are, they might have a certain code or a moral value when they leave here, but if they're young, they sometimes that changes. They justify their change in their head somehow, their friends and all that, they justify it. But the older they are, they typically harder to change. Mia doesn't look like she likes this subject. Was it difficult to broach this subject with her? What's a good way to approach it? I assume you're talking about the marriage thing. I mean, I've said it in other videos. I defined a relationship after, we've been together for a few weeks, and I just say it right out, what I want in a relationship and what I don't want. And at that point, the girl can say, I agree, or I don't agree, but I still want to stay with you, whatever she wants. But at least you have said your piece, and that's it. And there are many, I mean, you hear it all the time. Well, you can't be here with a girl and not get married, blah, blah. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You just have to be able to say, hey, I don't want to get married. If you don't want a kid, if you don't want kids, hey, I'm not going to have kids. And just say it right up front and tell her, if you don't want to stay with me on those conditions, then, there's the door. So, I mean, it sounds cruel, but it's honest. You're being honest up front. You're not waiting a year or two and then saying, hey, I don't want to ever get married. So, yeah. In the Philippines, it's no money, no honey. Actually, that's not true. Because, like I said, a guy I know, he's probably making less than 600 a month. So, I mean, that's not a lot of money. And his girl is a very pretty girl. So it's not always about money, guys. It's about you as a person, character, and a lot of things. So, I mean, if you're going to bars and all that, it's all about money. But if you meet other wonderful girls, other places, that it's not all about money. They want to have a future with you. Remember, for them also, if you want, especially if you want kids, having a Philam kid here, it's like a big thing. I mean, remember when we were in Bayawan and we saw that Philam kid in that hotel,
Oh yeah.
and the way they treated her, like, was it he or her? I don't remember. She. And they had other kids, Filipino kids, and they were completely ignored. So like a Philam kid here is like
The
elevate.
status is
It's status, right?
yeah.
It's a big status. And they think they're so cute and pretty, which actually they are. The mixed kids are very cute. So it's always good to be financially secure and really enjoy the Philippines. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I'm Philam and ready to be stress-free. Yeah, I hear you on that one. I consider myself fortunate. When my wife moved here, Phoenix, in 2005, she had already lived in Hong Kong and Montreal, so the transition was not too difficult. 16 years married, 16 years married now. Not always easy though. Man, no marriage is ever easy. People who think it's like Walt Disney, they walk off in the sunset and everything's okay. It's never like that. You have your ups and downs in any marriage. But the thing that holds a marriage together is actually, if you, through thick and thin. My grandma, who's passed away now, a long time ago, because I was talking to her about it. She had her 50-year celebration of marriage with my grandpa. And I said, how did you guys stay together? And she said, because we stayed together through thick and thin. If it was today, we would probably gotten divorced, but we stuck it out, and it led to something good. So, even if you are poor, you can choose to be happy. Exactly. Happiness comes from the inside. But a certain amount to me, at least, I need to have a certain amount, like to have security. I need to know that I can go buy a rotisserie chicken whenever I want. I can go have a coffee whenever I want. I mean, it brings me happiness to go to a coffee shop and sit and read. So that's just me, though. They're giving you dodgy crypto advice, Paul. Staking risk is huge. Yeah, exactly. USDC is one thing, but on Zil you will lose your weenie. Okay. Lost in Asia said, thanks for honest answer. Did not know you had been arrested. Take care, man. Yeah.
Where is it? I lost it. Sorry.
Just go out. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, it's 8:30. I think we'll go on to about 9 and then wrap it up. Celsius. Okay, I'm gonna skip over the stock stuff. I told you Delta was coming and your target would be missed, Paul. We'll see. It's not Christmas yet. So, Paul, how does Mia feel about your plan on working 4 to 6 months in the US, LDR, and living there 6 to 8 months? Well, I haven't really discussed it because there's really nothing to discuss till it happens. And if it happens, I think she'll be understanding, but I'll let her answer that. How do you feel about that?
Feel kinda like scared.
Scared for what?
Yeah, because like maybe something For example, if you were in a long distance relationship and we had a misunderstanding, I couldn't fix it. Like, you know me when we're having misunderstanding, right? I just literally just tag you, and I couldn't do that when you're long term. And also, maybe something happens and we don't know what you know what that something
If
is.
if you're thinking about other girls, I don't think you have to worry about that in the West. When 80% are fat or obese.
What about other Filipinos who's there?
No.
Who knows, right?
Billy says, for a newbie considering settling down in Cebu City and Davao, your thoughts on these places for dating? I haven't been to Davao, but I know people who have. Several people have been to Davao and many other cities in the Philippines, and I've always heard Davao is the best, absolutely the best. So if you're thinking of dating like a single guy, uh, I would say Davao, even though it's not my experience, it's other people's experience. So that thumbnail is all wrong. In America, both examples will make you broke. Might as well take the second one and be happy. That's true. That's really true. It's really true. Go back to that one. You know what? How do you say? Mutini Viti. What says is really true. No matter how fat, ugly they are, they still feel entitled. And that's what's so hilarious. They still feel entitled that you have to pay for dinner, you have to do this, you have to do that for them. And I think, who I blame it on really? Not just the media, but I blame it on guys because they treat their daughters like princesses. Like they always have this t-shirts, if you touch my princess, blah, blah, blah. And, if you have to treat her like a princess, she's a girl. She's not a princess. I don't say something. If I had a son, I wouldn't say you have to treat him like a king. I mean, come on.
Historical figures.
Huh?
Nothing. Just thinking.
Next one. Huh? So, guys, don't treat your daughters like princesses. They aren't. You shouldn't treat them like that either. I seen the Filipina, yes, when she raises her eyebrows.
Wait, baby. I'll just check something.
Poor people have been fooled into thinking the majority of rich people are unhappy. It's to avoid animosity. Most rich people have a pretty good life. I don't know. Now, that's an interesting thought there. It'd be interesting to see what like suicide rates, depression rates are for middle class versus rich people versus poor. I haven't looked at the statistics, but that would be an interesting, I think I'll look at that. That would be really, really interesting. Let me put that in my to-do task. Where's my to-do task? To-do. There it is. What happened to the tasks? Here. Look at. So I think the suicide rate here in the Philippines is much less than in the West. So that would indicate that poor people can be happy as well. I think sometimes when you're rich and you got too much free time, you end up thinking too much. While if you're lower class, you're thinking about how to survive the day. So maybe that's something to do with that. But that's a lot of. Okay, next. I vote for financial security, says Kenneth. First, then go forth and conquer. Living in insecurity would suck. Better to get your crap together first. It's actually easy if you plan early. Yes, that's the thing. If you plan early, but so many people don't. And so many people actually plan early, but have an issue with. Baby, can you move closer so people can see you? Because
They can't see me.
The problem is some people plan early, but then they go through divorce. They have maybe 2 or 3 kids, and they have to pay child support, and it's very hard to save. And they might not have a top end job, but like be making between 50 and 100K. And by the time you get your taxes, your child support, your rent, your food, they got nothing left. So, it's not always a lack of planning. Sometimes things happen, especially in the West with divorce rape and all that. You guys know about that. So Q for Mia, it's your ideal dinner party. You can invite 3
Historical figures.
historical figures and any 3 fictional characters. Who would you choose? I know who she would choose for the fictional.
So for my historical figures, I would choose first is Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Choice.
And the second one is Albert Einstein. And the third one is Alexander the Great. I like them.
See, I'd invite Hitler because I'd want to know what was his thought process. Like, why was he thinking so horribly about the
The
Jews?
Nazis?
Yeah, why was he so dark? I don't know.
And my 3 fictional characters, first is Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I knew that. That'd be for Sherlock Holmes.
The second one is Simpson.
Simpson, the cartoon?
Yeah.
That's not real.
I know it's not real, but it's a fictional character.
Yeah. You haven't
And
seen Lord of the Rings or
I've seen the Lord of the Rings, but not complete.
how
It's just
about the other one, the magic one? What's it called?
Harry Potter.
Did you see Harry Potter?
Yeah,
Would you-
full episode I've
Would you
seen.
invite
I
him?
would invite him. Yeah,
Harry Potter?
yeah.
Harry Potter? Lost in Asia. I'm guessing the ex-wife stuff is predominantly among guys with much younger wives. Not always, but mostly, yes. I'm married to a very attractive lady my own age with more money than me. Oh, nice. Boost up your immune system and stay healthy with multivitamins. Actually, that's a really good point. I don't like to talk about COVID, but I'm going to mention something that Mia seen me aggravated about. The US has fantastic technology, okay? They made this vaccine in less than a year, 8 months or something, which is an amazing feat to accomplish. But yet there's something they never look at, and that's the health of the population. As an example, I read a statistic somewhere that 96%, somewhere between 95 and 97, I think it was 96% of all those coming into the hospital were low to extremely low on vitamin D, okay? Zinc, as an example, helps the immune system. Why aren't they doing tests on these people and trying to keep people healthy? Healthy food. I mean, we watch the news. We got the internet. Of course, we got the internet, but I mean, we got that app, the ABC News, and we watch all the time from hospitals. And most of those people laying in there and dying, big. I mean, really big. I mean, some of these nurses working in there are big. And Mia is shocked. Like, how can they be like that? I mean, they're supposed to be nurses. They're supposed to know about health. I'm like, that's just the US. And it's like, there's a pandemic in the US, but there's another pandemic in the US, and that's health crisis, man. There's a health crisis that's the biggest pandemic in the US. I truly believe if people were healthy, if they were working out, eating healthy, taking the multivitamins, the death rate in the US, we wouldn't have 600,000 dead. We probably have 100,000 dead, okay? So, I mean, I don't have any scientific way of proving that number, but you know what I mean. If you're in a healthy condition, your chance of survival is much, much larger. So I just don't get that the US doesn't take a hold of this crisis. And it is a crisis, man. All these people with heart problems, cholesterol, diabetes, everything can lead from becoming obese, So that's my 2 cents on that. Sorry, I went off on a tantrum there. Horizon travel. Got to be happy with what you have and not jealous of others. Find things because they have problems too. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the US, it's not always. People sometimes buy things because a neighbor has it. They want a larger house, not because they need it, but because everybody else has a larger house. They can't be less than the Joneses across the street, right? So that's an issue. Yeah. Kenneth says, I'm financially secure, but now will work half-time in the US to continue to max out my 401k. then live in the PNW part of the US halftime. PNW. Pacific Northwest part of the US halftime. Okay. Lucky to have a partner who would move with me in the Philippines. Oh, cool. Also, when he dies, she gets his social security check for the remainder of her life. There are some exceptions to that. I think she has to be a U.S. citizen and has to have lived in the U.S. for a certain amount of time for her to get social security, if I remember correctly. But you might correct me on that. Paul, the only thing worse than letting your woman hang with divorce is letting her have a YouTube channel.
Imao, I think like it's the mindset of a girl who has a YouTube channel. If she's being like drawn to the attentions that she got from YouTube, I think that that makes her change her mind of, you know, monkey branching and like not thinking about the partner who gives her the
Because you get a lot of offers too, right?
I get a lot of offers,
And
but
you-
I never,
You get kind of pissed off at it.
because
So,
like you know, for me it's the loyalty behind the back. That's the thing, and I don't want people just, you know, trying to break the relationship because you think that you can get her.
I think it's really dependent on the character of the person. I've seen bloggers, women bloggers, and the way they
Act in
the way
front
they
of,
act. You know, they're seeking attention. You
yeah,
know, they're jumping up and down in a bikini and look at my ass.
looking for validation.
Looking for validation and looking for attention. I mean, attention basically is the female currency, right? They love attention. So that's why you look at TikTok, you know, is what is it? 90% females. So, I mean, jumping up and down, showing their tits or trying to show off their tits and their asses and all that. So, I mean, some girls are like that. A lot of girls are like that. And you'll see it here too. I mean, when we walk down the street, we see all these girls and they're not even girls. They're
teens.
teens. Some of them are preteens and some of them are a bit older teens, and they're all running around TikToking and showing off their ass, you know, and trying to get attention from guys. And it's just, I don't know. If I was a father and I caught my daughter doing that, I would be so pissed, man. I wouldn't accept that. I'm sorry, but that's just
like it also comes from like the way she grows in the family. Like
Yeah, yeah.
if her family just let her do things that, like, you know, out of this world kind of thing.
I don't think girls are doing that have like a virtuous, strong father.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly, I wouldn't say mostly single mothers, but there are a lot of single mothers here, and I can imagine it's hard. They have to have income, they have to take care of their kids, and sometimes it's 3-4 kids from, you know, one or two or three different guys, and they're not getting any child support. So it's hard for them, but it's like one of your commenters was talking about divorce and annulment. You know, here in the Philippines, there's no divorce, which
Yeah.
I kind of like actually, because when you go in front of, you know, people claim I mean, a lot of people are Christian, but a lot of people just claim they're Christian and they're not. They say they go in front of the church and God, their God, and say, "I do till death do us part," right? To thick and thin and so on. And they make these vows, and then 2-3 years later, they want an annulment. And then they always end up blaming the guy, or the guy blames the girl. Well, you know, before you take that plunge to say "I do" for the rest of your life, you shouldn't try to know that person, you know? So like that one commenter saying he was an abusive guy. If he's an abusive guy, you'll know that beforehand. People don't just suddenly become abusive.
Yeah.
You'll see those characteristics. That means she was attracted to those characteristics.
She wants a bad boy.
She wants a bad
That's
boy.
what
And
she
then when
wants,
she's
yeah.
with the bad boy, she decides that maybe this is not the life I want. But that's a choice she made, you know, and then she
Yeah.
tries to blame everybody else, you know. That's just
Beyond.
So yeah, I think it really depends on the character. But I see your point, Michael. There's a lot of girls that will change character just like they do in the West. And actually, that's a really good test. You know, put them on YouTube and see if they change their character. And if they don't, it means maybe they won't change when they go to the West, right? So that's a good test right there.
Did I pass the test?
We don't know yet. Be honest and set boundaries, says Horizon Traveler. Exactly. Set your boundaries. and learn to say no. One commenter on one of my videos had a really good comment, and he said something about, um, the problem with a lot of guys is they can't say no. So they're in a relationship and they get pushed and they can't say no. You got to learn to say no. You got to learn to set your boundaries. No matter how much it's going to hurt that girl, she starts curling up in a ball and crying because he said no. It doesn't matter. You have set that boundary, stick to that boundary.
Lost there. Okay.
No, go up. I missed one.
No, you didn't.
Yes, Blinky Bill. I didn't do that. Oh,
Oh,
hi,
sorry.
mate. Other books like Alpha Unchained, you recommend? Alpha Unplugged by Richard Cooper, yes. And Rollo Tomaso, he's got 3 different books. I've only read the first one, but I've heard the other 2 are really good as well. So, and if you go to Richard Cooper, he has a reading list, and it's actually a pretty good reading list. So I'd recommend go there and look at his reading list. I'm going to add some more books after I read the books, obviously, to my reading list, but I'm so busy these days, especially with YouTube. I've got some ideas about YouTube and all that I want to do. So I've been working a lot on some stuff. Michael says, I'm not saying Filipina have a bad agenda. I don't think they plan to come to the USA to find another man. I'm just saying when they are 25 and men their age are flirting with them, it's hard for most. Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's only the men flirting with them. I think it's mostly the other women pushing them to, like, they have an agenda, I think she will loves to become your wife and have kids, even if she is not saying it.
You should think about it.
Yes,
Keep your mind open.
I know that, Carl. You should think about it, Paul. Friendly advice. Yeah. Been married twice, man. I don't want to have a third. Once is a mistake, twice is something, and third time you're just I don't know. Okay, next. To stay with a much older man. I think he was continuing a sentence. Common goals are really enjoying someone's company even when you aren't doing anything. Special is the key to long and happy marriage, from Roger. Yeah. Having common goals, yeah, I agree. Google Pulse Chain. I don't know what that is. It's another Bitcoin type of thing, I think. 11 years old ago in Filipina told me, oh my God, do not go to the Philippines. It's very dangerous. But the Filipino men told me, BS. I knew then that was the right thing to do. It's very dangerous if you want to get a pretty girl. Welcome from Minnesota. Hi, David. Interesting title. What is the reasoning for the name? I just got here. The reasoning for the name we were talking about, I was thinking about it the other day, how some people I know here are basically very financially insecure but are happy, while people I know in the West are financially secure but unhappy. So I thought about that, and I just wondered what people would choose. So I think most people here have said they choose security over happiness, which kind of surprised me. You said Q3 at the time. Actually, I said 3rd or 4th quarter, but I was guessing September. Yes, that's correct. Did the lockdown start yet in Cebu? Not really. It's not really
a lockdown.
It's not really a lockdown. The coffee shops are open. The restaurants are open.
Malls are open.
Malls are open. So I don't know what the difference is.
It's just they have the curfew at 10.
Oh yeah, and they said it's only 50. They said you can only have 50% capacity at coffee shops and restaurant. But like the one guy at the coffee shop says, we never get more than 50% anyway, because it's a pandemic. So there's really no difference.
Oh, you do.
Okay. LDR are for betas.
Okay.
Well, I go back. I agree and disagree on that. If you've been here for a year or two and with a girl, and then you go back to work and it takes you a year or two to get her over, I understand that. But like meeting a girl online and thinking she's your girlfriend, I don't. I did that, and when I look back, that was just stupid. And I just dissuade anybody from doing that, because she's not your girlfriend. You never know what she's doing in her free time and how many guys she's talking to. The courts support their entitlement. Yeah, that's why they're entitled, because of the courts. Yeah. Dude, you may never be able to return to the Philippines if you leave. They're never going to let uh, the pandemic go, especially for elections. Well, actually, if anything, I think they'll open up for the elections because, you know, like Bill Clinton used to say, it's the economy, stupid. So, with everything falling apart, I think some people are going to get thrown out. So, I think that's when they will open, before the election, if any time. It's funny how she asked about meeting women in the US. I get the same from my lady in Thailand, and they only knew how much it sucks in the US for single men. Yep. Well, I think Mia's starting to get the idea when she watches the news and see all these hippos and whales walking around. I have no idea why, but women in Davao are friendlier here in Davao than they are anywhere else in the Philippines. I've never been to Davao, Mr. Ron, but I hear it's a godsend for single guys. So I'm sure Mia will never let me travel alone to Davao after saying that. Great answer with the princess thing. Women have had a huge part in the feminist movement. Yeah, it is. It's our fault. We let it all happen. And we still do. That's the thing I don't understand. You know, we complain about it and we still empower them. Hi, Paul. Are you able to do any consulting work? I seem to recall that you are a highly qualified engineer.
Highly qualified.
Well, no, because my area, there's no really need for that right now. And I've been out of the game for almost 3 years, so that's not going to happen. So, but I would like to go back to work, and I've put out some feelers out there. So we'll see what happens. Things are picking up in the oil industry, so we'll see. Philippine rates much higher on happiness than the USA. Yeah, I can believe that because people here are much friendlier. So yeah. Could you move to the UAE? I mean, if you got a job for me, John, let me know. I've actually lived in the UAE. I lived in Abu Dhabi. And UAE stands for the United Arab Emirates. I lived in Abu Dhabi, been to Dubai and Sharjah. I really liked Sharjah. It was kind of smaller place and much more charming for me. So, yeah, if I was offered a job there, I'd go. Yeah. So, John, if you know somebody, I'll send you my resume. Would you consider Mia to live with you for the time you'll be in the US? We'll see. She's probably going to go to school, so it's probably going to be an LDR while I live there. Because I certainly as hell not going to date in the US, so I'm going to go MGTOW in the US. Hey, Mia, how often does Paul use the Wounded Bird Act?
Use it a lot. Like, like if I win, he's gonna start acting like his back is aching or his knees or something. So yeah. But sometimes, like, I don't know if it's real or not, because like he really has a pain, and
It's real big when I have a back pain.
yeah, but like
So
sometimes you make a joke out of it. Like, I don't know if you're
that's for a
joking or
minute or
not.
two. It's not. I don't say I have a back pain and sit on the sofa for 3 hours. It's for a minute or two. I'm joking. Yeah.
Okay.
Q4 Paul. Question for Paul. It's your ideal party. You can invite 3 hot feminist Hollywood actresses and any three red pill alphas. Well, I really don't know the names of actors and actresses, so I watch movies and stuff, but I don't really pay attention. But no doubt Richard Cooper, Rollo Tomasi, and what's his name?
The author of the No More Mr. Nice Guy.
No, there's another guy. His name fell out of my head here, but those two would be absolutely it. Yeah. But as far as actresses and all that, I don't really know the names of actresses. I name a few actors like
Angelina Jolie.
I don't know. Is she a feminist? I don't really pay attention.
There.
But that would be a great dinner party, eh? 3 feminists and red pill guys. That'd be awesome. Many people are overweight in America, about 70 or 80%. And it's not just women. I mean, I say women, a lot of men are too. And I don't get that, man. I've always, not always, but since my 30s, tried to be, when it comes to working out, I've always worked out, but I've always tried to be like the best I can be. And I just don't get, life is short. I don't know why you'd want to make it shorter by being
Unhealthy.
just so unhealthy and overweight and not attractive. I just don't understand that. I don't get that. I never will. I mean, I wish somebody could explain it to me. What are 3 top books you recommend? That's for Mia or me. I mean, I don't really read fiction anymore. I read. I've been reading a lot of red pill. So right now I've read the Unplugged Alpha, Rollo Tomasi, and I'm reading No More Mr. Nice Guy. I've also read this book about the Christian religion, written by a Muslim. It's really a really great book, and I don't recall the name of it. But yeah, that's what happens when you get old. You stop recalling names. Okay, you read the next one, babe. Oh, I can share my Google One plan. That's interesting.
From Horizon.
Look at pictures of USA family reunions from, say, 40-year-old
40 years ago.
40 years ago versus today. Wow, so fat today. Yeah. And what was the difference? I mean, I wasn't around the US 40 years ago. What was the difference? What has changed in the US to create this pandemic, like I like to call it, of health crisis? I mean, what has changed to make people that way? Is it laziness, or is it the culture? Is it the food? What, people working too much and too little time to exercise? Is it all the divorces, feminism? I just don't know what it is, but it's a pandemic, a health crisis. I wish they'd put as much resources into getting people healthy as they did into this pandemic. They said that at the beginning of the virus, US is a very unhealthy and many will die, and many have died, 600,000. Even though with the best healthcare in the world, still so many people died. I mean, even with the lockdowns, 600,000 people die. Georgia's Guidestone depopulation. Yeah, we need less people in this world. It's too many people. The planet is dying. Main risk is age, and Western populations are old. Main risk is age. Actually, yes and no. For example, I read the statistic: a 70-year-old healthy is more likely to survive than a 40-year-old that is fat with with another issue. I can't say it this morning. The USA claims there are 600 dead, but I've never seen any mass graves like they tend to show other countries, Brazil and India, where they have large fields of burning bodies. That's because Brazil and India, they're dying at a much faster rate, and they don't have the type of disposable income to bury people so quickly as they do in the US. So, yeah. By the way, for those who don't know, some of you follow me on Facebook. My mom died of COVID recently, so yeah, it's a real thing. It's not a bullshit thing. But she had, all the issues we talked about. Mia is the only girl here. I think just be secure with yourself, and everything will go into place. By the way, I'm a nurse here, not obese, but I agree that obesity is a problem in the US. Are you a Filipina?
Half Filipino. She's a Filipino.
She's a half Filipina? Born in the Philippines or the US?
I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Interesting. It's a fact that the biggest single risk factor for dying of COVID, we're going to change to COVID now. Okay, we'll go some COVID here, is obesity, even more than old age. Yeah, exactly, obesity. Because obesity leads to diabetes and other complications. The US actually did pretty well for COVID. It's nowhere near number one at death per million. Yeah, that's because of all the great hospitals we have, right? The great healthcare we have. So if it hadn't been for that, oh God, it'd be over 1 million easy. To increase the shelf life of food in the US, they reduce the natural nutritional value now, consuming more volume of food in an attempt to obtain the same levels of nutritional value, creating obesity, in my opinion. Yeah, that might be true. And have you noticed something like everything has sugar in it? Lots of sugar to make stuff cheaper. Like you buy yogurt and it says organic, natural yogurt. What do? They add sugar. I make yogurt at home. I never add sugar. So it's just all the sugar everywhere, right? Especially here in the Philippines. God, you order a mango shake, it's like half of it is sugar. So you have to specifically say no sugar or half sugar or quarter sugar. Bad health in USA is a big business. Yeah, that's true. Coca-Cola and 7-Up and everybody's got to sell their drinks, right? It doesn't look good when you're talking about controlling women while your woman sits next to you looking very submissive. Bubba Jones, I'm not talking about controlling. I'm talking about setting the frame. In every relationship, people have to come to agreement about how that relationship is going to work. An example would be, I don't think Mia would like me to go around having relationships with other women. She set that as a boundary. I've set that as a boundary. So we have boundaries in every relationship. So it's not about controlling. It's about setting the frame in the relationship and agreeing on something. And if you can't agree on it, then okay, we go on to the next one. That's just the way it is. And to say you're very controlling, that's a very Western mindset. It's very type of like, oh, you can't say anything to the woman. She's got to do everything she wants. And I can't say you can't have girls' night out. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. And if she doesn't like it, she can hit the door and you can go to the next woman. That's how simple it is. That's my red pill. Right? Do you agree or don't you agree?
Huh?
Oh, you're not paying attention.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, and every relationship is like that, right? You got to set boundaries, right?
Well, at first I didn't set boundaries.
Because we weren't. I mean, at first you're just exploring each other. You don't know you're going to be in a long-term relationship, right? But we set boundaries.
Later on, yeah, we set boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that controlling? You think it's controlling?
No, it's not really controlling because like if um if the guy can do anything he wants, then a girl could also, it's like an open relationship, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So like if you really like to be with that person and you see yourself with that person in the future, then of course you have to set boundaries. There's some certain rules in the relationship that you need to follow in
Mm.
order to have a good relationship and like to be able to achieve that good relationship and stay together for
Mm.
maybe a long
Like
years.
one of my boundaries is no girls' night out and don't get fat. If you get fat, you're gone. You know, that's just my boundary, and
Yeah.
I say that right in the beginning of a relationship. I'm not attracted to fat women, and if you get fat, there's really no reason for me to stay with you. You've disrespected me in a way because you know that I don't want that. You know that's what we agreed on, and you still got fat anyway because you can be bothered to exercise and you can close your mouth and stop eating. That's to me, that's not controlling. That's to me setting a boundary, setting the frame of a relationship that both parties agree on. So that's my opinion on that. How are Norwegian women? Man, I haven't lived in Norway since '96, so I can't really say how they are today. Back then they were wonderful, but now I don't know. I really don't. Leonard Lund. Hi, Paul and Mia from Houston, Texas. I don't get to catch you live very often. I like your content. Thanks, Leonard. Paul, if you never met Mia, had no GF, would you still enjoy your time there?
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think Scott, he will enjoy it very much. I think he would make it as a paradise. He would never go back to the US if that's the case. Yeah?
No, no,
Yeah?
no, 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 no. No. No, I mean,
No.
I really enjoy being with Mia, but if I was single, I'd enjoy it. I mean,
Enjoy it even more.
I don't know about more, but I'd still enjoy it in a different way. Third one, a charm or harm. A third time marriage, you mean? Yeah. Agree, stay single, said Mr. Steel Palm. That is where the whole thing is coming from, political correctness and feminism. Yeah. Political correctness in the U.S. now is just ridiculous. It's just you can't joke about anything anymore. Mia, would you prefer a church wedding or a big reception or simple ceremony? Just asking.
Ceremony. I think a simple ceremony would do, because like, you know, it's it's not really about having a big reception, church. I mean, a church wedding. No, I like it simple, because it's enough for me. Like, I don't need to invite a lot of people to be in that wedding.
Yeah.
So
Actually, while I was doing research for one of the videos I made about not taking your girlfriend to the West, I came across a paper where it showed that people who spend less money on a ceremony, and had a lot of people there, meaning per head they spend a lot less money, were actually a lot less chance of divorce. It's like they come up with these statistics. I don't know how, but and well, actually I know how, but it's kind of weird that they have the statistics. And what else? Oh yeah, and people who went on a honeymoon that wasn't too expensive also had a less chance of a divorce. So go figure. I think I'll be secure enough financially to quit working. Sorry. And start working and and quit working and start traveling next year at 42. But quitting a good paying career at such a young age scares the crap out of me, especially right now. 42, that is young, man. I don't know. If you could take just a year off and just travel and see how that is, if you could go back, that's what I would do, man. But 42, that's young. I mean, I stopped working at 51. Was I 50 or 51 when I came? 51, right? Yeah, 51. And to me, that was early. I planned to go to 55, but because of the non-compete and all that, I couldn't. But right now, I want to go back to work. So I don't know. I would wait. See if you can take a sabbatical year. Invite Johnny Depp. He's an interesting character. Yeah. Coach Greg Adams. That's the one I was looking for. Thank you, Wade 76. Amber Heard.
Never heard of Amber.
Kevin Samuels. Oh yeah, Kevin Samuels. He's a black guy who's red pilled. Very well articulated guy. I like him. Yeah, I would invite him instead of Coach Greg Adams. Yeah, Kevin Samuels. Yep. You stay fit. I used to be getting back into it, losing weight. I try to stay fit, but every time I really have good progress, my back goes out, man. I'm so tired of that shit. I really am. It's like I either come down with a flu or something and I'm out of it for 2-3 weeks, or my back goes out or something. But I really try. Yesterday I went swimming, tried to take it slow, and this morning I could feel my back kind of hurting. So I gotta really do some stretching. So that's good that you said. I'm gonna set up a schedule for stretching. Can you remind me on that?
I will.
Okay.
Aaron Clary.
Okay. Have you lived in South Korea? Have lived in South Korea now for 17 years. When I went back to the US on vacation for the first time, felt a bit culture shock with the obesity. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I look at TV. There's like these humongous people walking around everywhere. Yeah, they really are. You've seen them, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like normal. People don't even react to it. If you're over here, you're like, we'll be like this to each other. Oh my God, look at that. Over there, it's become normalized. You'll even see these fat women on magazines in bikini, the new healthy, the new me. I'm like, oh my God. They're trying to normalize that type of lifestyle, and it's not good.
Terrence Pop.
I don't think I've seen him. Too much soy and estrogen laced plastics and cans. Oh yeah. Grown man business. All the best, Paul. Mia, catch you later, says Gary.
It's the microwave and the almost there, baby.
It's the microwave and the car. The car, yes. Yeah. No walking.
Lost it.
You lost it here.
No. I got it.
Look at the movies, say people, not actors, walking down the street of New York City in the 30s and 40s. Amazing. Yeah, I watched some on YouTube. You'll see even not just the 30s and 40s, even before that. And there was no fat people back then, because everybody walked everywhere. Everybody walked everywhere. And that's the good thing here in the Philippines. Most people walk. But you also notice here in the Philippines, like the middle class,
Yeah.
especially the middle class girls, they tend to be overweight. Not like obese like in the US, but overweight. That is correct. There are a lot of men in the US that are overweight. Guys love to call American women whales, and when they are overweight themselves. Yeah, but like they say, a woman is born, a man is made. So if you're a man that's made and you're overweight, you can still have women. But if you're a woman that's overweight, you're not going to get a high value man. They died because they were older. Some, yes. But there are also young people that are dying, especially with this Delta variant. No fault divorce and the pill. No fault divorce and the pill made them fat, you think? I don't know. Post-World War II Farm Bill encouraged corn production due to most people not getting enough calories. Fast forward to now, low nutrition but high calories. Yeah, I think that's a good. I mean, the amount of fruit and vegetables people eat are very low. Seem to eat a lot of ice cream and biscuits and corn syrup and everything else. Risk rises exponentially with age. Yeah, but with age, you tend to have other issues like diabetes and other issues. So I think, but statistically, if you're a healthy 70-year-old, no comorbidities, you're more likely to survive than a 40-year-old that has an issue. Health is both simple and complex at the same time. For people who grew up with bad eating habits and no exercise habits, it can be overwhelming to fix. That's well said, Greg, but I don't agree with that. I would have agreed that 20 years ago, but now you have YouTube. All you have to do is sit down one day and go on YouTube and make a plan, hire a what do you call that? A guy,
Coach.
a coach, and to make you a plan, or find something on Google and stick with it. So that's all you have to do,
It's the
really.
discipline also.
It's discipline. That's all it is. It's discipline. And you got to have that mindset. I'm not going to be this anymore. I mean, I notice sometimes I start gaining weight and I just go on a diet. I go on high protein. I start exercising more and doing what I need to do. And it's hard. It's hard when she's making really good food. I'm saying, oh, I can't eat this delicious food because I'm just going to have a protein drink. You got to be disciplined, you know?
Sorry to you,
Yeah, thanks for that, secret agent.
Brand Sweeney.
Thank you. Junk food, family structure, wife stood home, cooked, and took care of family. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Before, when there was a family structure, the wife was at home and she cooked good meals, wholesome meals with all the nutritions you needed. But now they go to the fast food because they just don't have time to make food. They're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and they're just going to get something to eat fast,
COPD.
I'm not sure. High fructose corn syrup. Yep, that's also another thing. Yeah, look at what we use to bulk up food. They add white rice, white flour, sugar, and then they deep fry it. Yeah. Hypomia reasons so many fat people in America is because they cannot stop eating and eat bad food. Yep. Also, they don't exercise. Boundaries are set to be broken.
No, it's the promises.
Promises set to be broken.
Yeah. So in 10 years.
So in 10 years' time, if Mia gets a bit fat, would you get rid of her? I would say something before she got a bit fat. She knows that too. Look, if I'm working out and trying to look good and she's not, there's an issue there. You know what I mean? You got to put your time and effort. So, John Rose. Paul, hi from Cebu City. Happy lockdown. John, have you noticed anything to the lockdown? Because I haven't. So,
Nothing changed.
one word, Invisalign. I don't know. What is that? Be careful, Mia. Put a door and lock on the doghouse and cut off your juicy mango diet. Paul, you seem like a good guy, but that is controlling and a little more. No, it's not. I completely disagree. It's you setting what you find acceptable and non-acceptable, and the other party either agreeing to it or not, and then coming to an agreement. That's how relationships work. And if you both can't agree, well, you both need to go your separate ways. That's how relationships work. But in the West, we let women set all the agenda and tell you what to do and all that. I don't. I never have and never will. That's why my relationships probably didn't last too in the West. But what if Mia wound up having a medical condition and end up putting weight on. Now that's different. If she was like in an accident or medical condition, because that's not something she can help, right? It's not laziness, it's not lack of training, lack of not eating. It's something that she can't control. And if you care for somebody, you're gonna stick with them through that. So that's different, you know. I'm talking about people who are not in that condition. Marriage talk, no more. In America, women want a wedding, but they are not a wife. Yeah, that's true. 40 secret agent said 42 is young. Consult with a certified financial planner on a fee only basis for analysis. Yep, that's a good advice.
From Chicano. Yeah, you will dump me, right?
He would dump her in a second. No, I wouldn't. And she knows that too. Secret agent retired at 61. To me, that's a bit late. I would like to, if I had a choice, I'd retire around 50 to 55 like I did. Because then you're young enough to still enjoy the nature and do stuff. And once you start getting, from what I've heard, once you start getting in your 60s, your body starts hurting more. You're less apt to go into the nature, go into hikes and all that stuff, and do climbing and all that. So, yeah. Me, if anyone convince him to marry, I will send you $20.
Lol, I think
I think she'd give me $20.
I couldn't convince him because like he is set in his ways already, and I couldn't just change his mind just because I want to,
Mhm.
So it is hard, and I couldn't.
Retired 5 years ago at 44. How is that at 44 retired? Did you get kind of bored, Horizon Traveler, or what's your experience? Hey, Horizon Traveler, if you retired 5 years ago at 44, would you send me an email? I'd like to chat with you a bit because I might use that as a video, when people retire early. The problem simply is
It's the food.
it's the food. Watch the movie Forks Over Knives and read the book The Pleasure Trap. And also eye-opening, the starch solution, number one killer is heart disease. Yeah, eating healthy. And this is something I've noticed. People complain about Filipino food, but to me, there's a lot of fresh vegetables here, fruits and everything. So you can have a pretty healthy diet. The minus thing here is they eat a lot of rice. So if you can change out some of the rice for vegetables instead, that's a much better diet.
No.
I think rice is the Filipino heroin, man. It's like their drug of choice is rice.
It's
If
because
they go without rice a day, they go crazy, man. It seems like, I gotta have rice. I gotta have rice. Where's the rice? The rice. The rice. Yeah, babe.
Yeah.
To retire at 42, you would need savings pension assets worth at least 40 times your required annual income. So here would be 24,000 a year, 2,000 a month. So 10 times 24, that's 240 times 4. That's roughly $1 million. Yeah. So you need at least $1 million to retire at 40. That's a good. That's a good. That's a good way to calculate it. Yeah, but I'd still want more than that. Nice to know that you would dump me like yesterday. Yeah, I mean, we said she'd dump me if I did certain things. So
yeah, I also have a rules in the relationship.
Exactly.
And it's like if he have rules and I followed it, and I have my own rules and he doesn't follow it, then you know what, that's being disrespectful to your partner. Because like you have your own rules and you should follow it. It's not the other. It's not about one-sided.
It's not one-sided. It's also about your wants and desires. If I say, this is my wants and desire, can we agree on that? And you say, yeah, absolutely. I'll never do this. I won't do that, but I will do this. And I say, yeah, that's fine. You can do that in this relationship. And you agree to it. And then you do other things. Then I have the right to say, you know what? You didn't keep to what we agreed on. And therefore, I'm going to move on to something else. And you have the same right. I don't see that as controlling at all. I see that as setting the foundation of the relationship. I don't see that as a controlling thing. Do you exercise to strengthen your back? Actually, I don't, and I should. I've got some exercises. You know what I need to do? I really need to sit down and make like a workout plan and a stretch plan and some stuff to strengthen my back. Will you remind me of that too? I'll put that in my task. Okay, I'll put that in my task. Make workout plan. Plus and stretch. Okay. You guys are very helpful today, by the way. I'm putting down all these notes. You know how it is in life. You tend to forget. You live that life day to day, and you're like, okay, today I'm going to exercise. You go exercise, but it's not really planned out. So the best thing to do is to make a plan and say, okay, Monday I'm going to do back. Wednesday I'm going to do arms. Thursday I'm going to do shoulders or leg, and Friday and so on. And then I'm going to stretch these days. Paul, when you were in Dumaguete, did that air pollution worry you? Yes, it did, actually, because I'd come home, and you remember this, Mia? And you take that cotton bud with the alcohol or whatever, and you go like that, and it was completely black, remember? And that was just after driving 20 minutes in traffic. And the pollution in Dumaguete, believe it or not, is worse than here. Here, even though there's traffic, you don't have, in Dumaguete, you have all these big sugar train trucks that spew out this black smoke all the time. And oh God, it's a lot of pollution in Dumaguete. Now, Valencia is different. So if I ever was to go back, she's going to go to school, but there's only online right now. But if she was going to go to school and she had to be in a classroom, I would not live in Dumaguete again. I wouldn't live in Bacong. The only place I would live there would be Valencia because of the freshness of the air, because of the nature, and because it's cooler. I really like Valencia. I really do. So I could see myself living in Valencia in the future. But at that point, I'd probably rent something bigger than I've been renting so far, and probably have maybe a small workout room. So I wouldn't have to go into Dumaguete to work out 3-4 times a week. We'd still have to go to Dumaguete for the major shopping, but that you could do that once or twice a week and be done with it, McKinsey extension exercise help your back, especially the lower back, and you are right about stretching. Yeah, I went to not a chiropractor, but a physical therapist in 2013 when I still had back issues and just gone through a divorce, and I couldn't do weights because of my back issue. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? I need to get my back fixed. I need to get back to the gym. I need to start looking better. And so I went to the physical therapist, and that worked wonders for me. So they had all these exercises to strengthen the back, to stretch and everything. And I need to get back into that. I still have all the paperwork and what exercises do and everything. So I'm really going to get back into that because I'm tired of my back going out. I swear when Mia talks, I keep thinking she's from UK due to her accent. You know what I'd love to do is actually go back to England, because I know this would happen. If I went back to England and just lived there for 3 to 6 months, I would get a British accent. And I think British accents are the coolest. I love British accents.
They are the sexiest accent for me.
You want a cup of tea? Want a cup of coffee today? Hey. Yes. Want some sugar now? I love that accent. Nice to know that you would dump me like yesterday newspaper. I said I would not, so I'm sure you meant would not. You're so obsessed with that. Actually, I answered the question. I said I would not if she had a medical issue, but if she just gained weight because she was too lazy, then I would. So I think you misunderstood there, Mr. Mind. And shallow, I don't know. We all have our wants and desires, and we all set the agenda for what makes us happy. So, Paul, you had mentioned investing in REITs. Would you mind sharing which ones? Yeah, I would mind, because I'm not a financial advisor. So I think you just have to Google it, man. But what you got to look at when it comes to REITs or any other company that pays dividend is look at their books. And Yahoo Finance is really good for that. You can see what they're making and how much of that they're paying out in dividends. Some companies actually are paying way too high dividends compared to what they're bringing in. So you got to watch for that. So that's the only advice I can give. Most people catching COVID are non-vaccinated, almost 97%. Actually, that's true. And vaccinated are not getting COVID now, even Delta variant. Well, some vaccinated people are actually getting the Delta variant, but they're not ending up in the hospital and not dying. I think, what did I read? The last statistic was 0.1 or 1% of those ending up in hospital have the Delta variant that have been vaccinated. So very, very small amounts. So, hey, I love you
Wonderful.
all. Always more fun in the Philippines. Yeah, it really is. Come on, you know, you want some, Paul.
What?
Come on, you want some, Paul. I don't know what that means. Uh,
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss. Thank you for that. Only girlfriends raised in Asia cooked. The American ones, zero of them did. Actually, no, that's not true. Both my wives, my Filipino wife, and the funny thing is, my first wife, American, she didn't know how to cook when I first met her, and she became a wonderful cook at the end. Oh my God, she made some really wonderful dishes, and so did my ex-Filipino wife. She didn't know how to cook, but after a year or two, she made wonderful dishes. So yeah, Mia in the picture is your competition for Paul. See that picture, that fat ass? You see that? That's
Yeah.
the competition if I go back to the
There.
US.
I
Yes, my condolences, Paul. Thank you, Gary.
sorry.
Okay, guys, it's 5 more minutes and we've gone almost 2 hours. Actually, 10 more minutes and we've gone 2 hours, and I think we'll call it quits. If Mia got a good job and wants to adopt or get artificial insemination, do you have a baby? Would you stay with her? That's a good question, and I haven't thought about it, so I can't answer that. Paul is ruthless. I'd also be if I was divorced twice. I never married and loved every minute of it. Hi to you both from Nevada, from Desert One. Secret agent. My wife has a thyroid problem, so it affects her weight. Yeah, of course. That's a medical condition. Paul, I live in condo near IT Park. We are at MECQ, but no Q pass required. The pool and the gym are closed at my place. Actually, the pool and gym is open here, so I guess it's different from tower to tower. Okay. I'm retiring at 37. Oh my God, that's early. If I didn't have my service commitment, it would be 35. Wow, 37? That is young. So what you gonna do, wandering doc, once you retire? That's you just gonna travel the world or be a wandering doctor? Mia looks to be a strong ectomorph. I don't know. What does that mean? I doubt she could gain too much weight, at least while she's young. Yeah, she likes to exercise too. So she joins me in exercises and she's active. She's aware of healthy eating and all that. So well, I loved my job and earned a fortune. Plus, I had time off at my 20s and took a year off at age 40, says Secret Agent. Would also add, make sure CFP can sign a fiduciary agreement. Hey, if you're old and live alone with no family and want your pension to go further, then spend the rest of your days in the arms of a beautiful, caring Filipina, and you might even live longer and be happy. That's true, really true. Forks over knives is propaganda. The healthiest, most nutritional dense food are animal foods. Starches are peasant foods. Well, go back to that. I I've read a bit about this, and the people who tend to live the longest, if you look at, there's a name for it, but there are certain areas in the world that what they call the centurions. Very high part of the population lives to over 100, and what tends to be the common factor there is a large variety of different types of foods. So eating a lot of meat or just eating vegetables and not eating meat, or I don't think that's healthy, but eating a variety of food like chicken sometimes, meat sometimes, vegetables and different types of food, fish and so on, I think that's the healthiest type of
Diet.
diet you can have. Yeah. Why sit alone in a country being unhappy? You die whenever you are, but not die alone but you won't die alone in the Philippines. Yeah.
Yes.
Rice is life. Yeah, for you. Fish roe and liver are the healthiest foods if you want to live a long life. That's one of the things I read too. People eat fish and nuts. I read just a handful of nuts. This from looking at different diets in the world. A handful of nuts will extend your life by 5 or 10 years on average. So modern starches are not found in nature and not meant to be eaten by humans. I think the 1970s, the vegetable lobby lost to the fast junk food industry. I think so. Because they had less profits to lobby the government. Lobbying is the biggest weakness in the US. That's really true. I mean, think about the tobacco lobby, how long they were able to trick the American people and make them think smoke didn't cause cancer. I mean, it's amazing. A million used to be a lot, not anymore. Yeah, true. Well, it still is in the Philippines, by the way, but in the US, no. The issue with cooking in many nations is they use a lot of oils and cooking in frying pans. Yeah, actually, I bought a air fryer. Cost me $30 on, I can't remember, Lazada or Shopee. It's a really great thing, man. We put a whole chicken in there, no oil, no nothing. I put potatoes in there, no oil, no nothing, except a bit of olive oil and spices and stuff like that. And comes out wonderful. So air fryer, I'd recommend that for anybody who wants to eat healthy. For me, that's a way to go. I'm still trying to figure out a way to make eggs in the air fryer, but I haven't. Did 26 years in the Navy, did 9 deployments and was stationed in Japan for 2 years. Really loved traveling. So since no wife, no kids, no child support, no alimony, my pension goes a long way. That's exactly right.
That is his way.
Yeah, that's why, yeah. Get up and go. Die with a smile on your face. Yep. If you get a girl pregnant and she has a baby with you and she gets fat, then you will leave her.
Will you leave her?
Well, I mean, some girls get fat while they have the baby, but they can lose the weight afterwards. But I don't think Mia would get fat.
It's in the family.
If I'd leave her, that would be... I just can't be with a fat woman. I'm sorry. I just can't be. I'm not sexually attracted. If I was with a fat woman, I'd have a sexless relationship. There would be no sex. I would refuse to have sex with a fat woman. I just can't do it. To me, it's just like, I'm not gay, so I can't have sex with a guy either. It's like, that's the way I look at it. A fat woman is completely disgusting to me. I cannot have sex with a fat woman. That's just my wants and my desires. Other people find it attractive. I just can't do it. I just to me, it's a complete turnoff. That's just the way I am. I mean, I can't help it. That's just the way I am. I just can't be with a fat woman. I mean, I can be with her, like a relationship, but I just can't have sex with her. Paul and Mia, I'm married to Pinay, and she is at least 25 pounds heavier. She asks if I still love her. My answer is, your love you.
I might not like you.
I might not like you, but I still love you. We've been living in the USA. That is how this one in the pic got that way, Paul. What exactly is wrong with your back? I don't know. I easily get these cramps in my back. Like if I'll be doing something and it's like this intense pain, and then it just starts to cramp up and I can't do anything for days, sometimes for weeks. I have to be really careful because if I put any weight or any pressure on it, it cramps up again. And I have to take a lot of Advil to kind of get the inflammation to go down. So it's really inflamed. But I don't know why. I've had that problem since 2002. So on and off. Since 2013 to about 2018, I didn't have the problem because I was doing a lot of stretching, but then I stopped doing the stretching, and that's what I need to get back into. Western people don't eat much rice, but they are more obese than Filipino, and they always gone for bypass surgery, LOL. Then when they come to the Philippines, they're nagging about lifestyle here. Yeah. I still think $1 million is a lot if you look at the average savings that most Americans have. True. A quick Google noted that only 3.5% of households have $1 million in net worth. That's true, but really with inflation today, a million is, I mean, I'd say in the US, you probably have to have, if you're a single guy, you probably have to have 30 to 40,000 to live. So a million would last you, what, 25 years, 30 years? So, yeah. But that's not even a good lifestyle, right? Wondering Doc, I've done 14.5 years in the Army, but 9 of them were medical training, med school, and radiology residency. Yeah, I knew that. Hawaii for 5 years was life changing. Oh yeah.
This-
Just let me know, Paul, if something happens between Mia and you. I can set up with the one in the picture here. Thanks, Scott. I'm gonna drop Mia for her. She's very attractive. You need to leave it alone, then your back will recover. Yeah. Well, I gotta do stretching. That's what I need to do. What's a PT again? Physical therapist. Yeah, a physical therapist can be a huge help. They are cheap, $5 to $10 an appointment. I'll be there in a few months, mostly to see a physical therapist. And like, but I haven't seen any physical therapists here
Here, only in, I guess in, like,
in Cebu City, not in Lapo.
not in Lapo, but I
Maybe in the
think
hospitals. So yeah, that's a good idea. Try to find a physical therapist too. Mia ration Paul, so his back will recover. Hi from London, and my accent is British. Everyone hit the like button, says Dennis. Thank you for that, Dennis. My skin would be too thin to do live stream and face comments. I like you both. Yeah, well, Mia is a bit thin skinned, but I'm kind of thick skinned. So
are you?
yeah. In the UK, 2-vax only reduces transmission by 50%. Well, that might be the case. I don't know, but transmission is one thing, but the thing that's most worrying is hospitalization, right? But like here in Cebu, everything was open till the hospitals got full. So, secret of retirement: your revenue exceed your expenses. Yep, true. In the UK, most of the hospital admission for COVID are people who have been offered the vaccine but refused it. Same in the US, I think 97%. Sorry, I joined in late. Hope everything is okay. Well, yep, everything's fine. Thanks, David. Plan is to study Mandarin to a high-level grad school, but otherwise travel the world and hopefully teach others. Oh, so he's going to China. Yes, I was aged 26 to 31, and it was the best ideal place for social dating life. Beautiful sunset, rainbows every day in Hawaii. Yeah, I've never been to Hawaii, but I heard it's beautiful. Kind of like the Philippines, just better infrastructure and, the American Philippines, let me call it that way. I agree, variety of foods is the best, but you need some animal foods. I agree, because fat-soluble vitamins are only found in animals, fat, and eggs. Yeah, eggs are very healthy. Tons of stuff in eggs. For me, it's not only about retiring, says Global Greg, no longer for being productive. It's about being financially free. I'm sure once I quit, I'll engage in some activity that will bring money. Yeah, true, but a lot less money usually. Okinawa has the world's longest longevity in the world. They eat lots of veggies and seafood. There is also some pork and other meats, but they do not eat a lot. Yes, I've also read that people with a less calorie intake per day live longer, and that kind of makes sense too. Yes, Hawaii is definitely expensive, but if you're a professional, generally your pay accounts for cost of living. Yep, true. Okinawa blue zones have been debunked. They eat pork with nearly every meal. What do you mean debunked in what way? That they don't, their diet, or that they don't live to over 100? Those blue zones propaganda studies took into account during World War II in Okinawa, where they lost 95% of the pigs on the island. Okay. But how about the other blue zones? I mean, is 3,000 enough to live in Hawaii? Wondering, Doc, but I would probably say no. They didn't eat pork during World War II, not by choice. Since 1960, Okinawans eat meat with every meal. Okay. How do we find your email address? If you go to the About section on a laptop, you'll see my email. If not, it's Paul's Asian, A as in Apple, D as in David, V as in Victor, at gmail.com. So that's Paul's Asian, ADV for adventure, at gmail.com. Yeah, I'd say 5,000 a month if you're single and want the most flexibility. 4K is okay in Hawaii. Okay. Lower back issues can be lack of vitamin D. Actually, that's a good comment there, because every time I've gone to the doctor, I've been low in vitamin D. So I'm taking supplements now, liquid vitamin D and tablet type vitamin D with K2. So yeah, I'm taking that. Plus B12. I don't know why. Every time I go to the doctor, I'm low on B12 and vitamin D. So I have to take supplements. So yeah. If you do strength training, you will not have a back pain. That's what I do. I do weights, strength training. Oh, by strength training, you mean like without weights? Okay, yeah. Just a shout out to say hello. You've both been busy. Glad to catch you. Be safe. Be safe. Thank you, William. It's not about meat or not. It's about calorie restriction, says Tuatha. So there's a bit of a disagreement. I think it's about both, actually. Calorie restriction is important, I think. And also eating meat is important. I think eating meat is important, but it's also what type of meat you get. Are you getting the one full of hormones, or are you getting one that a natural cow that's just walking and eating grass, grass-fed type of cow, I think would be important. I don't have any studies that show that, but I would just logically think that would be more natural, so better. The heat and humidity doesn't drive you crazy living there? No, it doesn't. The temperatures here get up to about, 34 Celsius sometimes, but typically if we're outside and it's 34 C, we're either hiking in higher elevation, so it's colder, and we'll either go early in the morning or the evening, or we'll be swimming. So no, it doesn't bother us. There are more cases of diabetes here in the US, and white rice has a lot to do with it. Plus, they eat a lot of sweets. I don't think it's the white rice, because if white rice cause diabetes, there'd be a lot of diabetes here in the Philippines, right? I think it's all the sugar. Hospitalization is reduced by 90% with 2 vaccines. I heard 98%.
Legaspe.
Is Albay physical therapy. Fly in for a consult. Check out the volcano. I hope you feel better. Yes, last time I looked, 16% of U.S. household had 1 million. Problem isn't NW, it's the American consumer's lifestyle. Yeah. I'm ready to retire in the Philippines. When are you going to reopen the country? Well, I've been talking to Duterte about that, and we are in agreement that it's hard to say, man. It seems they do 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So I think the thing to watch is Thailand and how Thailand's going, and also watch the vaccine rate. As I said at the beginning, 4 days ago, they had a new record of 650,000 people vaccinated in 1 day. But, in a way, they're taking it serious, in a way they're not, because I tell you something funny. Like, there's a vaccine center right opposite our condo, and they close at 5 p.m., open at 8, and they're closed on the weekends. And you'd think if it's a pandemic and everybody's in a panic that they need to vaccinate as many people as possible, you'd think it would be open on the weekends, and you'd think it would be running 24/7. But this is the way it is here. Acceptance. So don't be a slave to consumerism. Exactly. Whoa, that was tough. The stick of sweat on the woman in my picture folder. What does that mean?
Stink.
Oh, stink. Oh. Hi from South Cebu, Leah and Blair. We moved to GCQ as we are in the province, Cebu City. Well, I'm in Lapu-Lapu, and I haven't noticed any difference, really. Everything's open. Go lay in the sun for vitamin D. Yeah. It could indicate a digest issue, Paul. Yeah.
There. We're almost done.
Can you read? I just need to make a note of something. Just read.
From Tuava, not against Delta Pol. It's breaking through 2 vaccines quite often.
Mr. Ron says, white rice turns to sugar when digested. Look it up.
I ate a lot of white rice.
Yeah. Red broin and black rice is better for you. That's true, but it tastes horrible. If the Philippines wasn't the land of easy ladies, do you think that most expats would be there? Probably not. And that's why we go there and
Out up with all the problem.
opt out of all the problem. It's for me, the ladies.
It's for the ladies.
It's for the ladies. Well, there's other good stuff in the Philippines. It's not just ladies. If it was just ladies, you could go to Thailand or you can go to Vietnam or any other place. Scott says the white rice breakdown goes to starch and then goes to sugar. Okay, guys, that was the last comment. So thank you for joining. It's been over 2 hours. So thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care and bye-bye.